Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who share their insights and expertise so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Make sure that you stay to the end because we're going to give you a gift for being here with us today. I'm excited to be chatting with our guest today. I love his background. We've been chatting with our little bit behind the scenes, and I'm excited for him to be here and share his wisdom and knowledge with you today. So without further ado, welcome David Daneshgar with Whippy AI to the podcast. Happy to have you, David.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for having.
Yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you. So can you give us a little background about you, Whippy AI, and your role within it?
Yeah. So Whippy AI is kind of riding the wave or trying to lead the wave in automation and AI. And so what we realize is so many different companies have so many different softwares, whether it's email marketing software, texting, WhatsApp, VoIP softwares, answering message services, etc. And Whippy kind of puts that all in one, but we add a layer of AI. So as you're sending out messages or taking calls, the AI and the agent in the background is kind of learning. And so eventually, like a lot of the low-hanging fruit, like if it's doing interviews or it's responding to FAQs, whether it's via messaging or phone, the agent can also do. So it is kind of one of those softwares where people are using it to do all those things that we talked about, but also AI agents are running in the background to help you be more productive.
So what inspired you to launch Whippy?
Yeah, so I founded a company before called Bloom Nation,
Mhm.
and it was one of the fastest growing softwares for florists around the country. So local florists, use Teleflora and 1-800 Flowers, and the problem there is you couldn't actually see the bouquet and what you were getting. And so we built this platform called bloomnation.com, kind of reminiscent of Airbnb, where you go there and you can search by zip code and you can actually see the real florists and what they're selling. And it actually became more of a B2B software. That marketplace was a part of the revenue, but the florists were asking us, and this is again probably in 2012, when obviously online payments were taking off and more people were shopping online. They wanted e-commerce and they wanted Facebook stores. And so we sold an entire platform to them. And at a certain point, we were growing, but just as an entrepreneur, I wanted to think of what was next. And I noticed with the florists, and even with my brother that's a lawyer, my dad that's a doctor, my cousins that are dentists, I noticed that they were dropping leads. They were using multiple platforms with different logins. And honestly, like they really weren't, the communication level just wasn't consistent. The tools were different. And like honestly, people weren't picking up the phones, they weren't responding, etc. And so that kind of was the starting point to kind of where we're at now with Whippy.
So what are some challenges that you've maybe encountered when, building two businesses? I'm sure you've overcome a lot of challenges. So can you share with us some of those challenges that you've encountered and how you've overcome them? And maybe they're
Sure.
different with the two businesses. I don't know.
Yeah, no. So the biggest, I would say the challenge we both overcome is, well, when I talk to a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, a lot of them have really good ideas. They're great developers. But I think one of the biggest challenges is sales. And so for us, we solve that challenge honestly, just like faking it till we made it, getting out there, going to trade shows, sometimes saying we could do more that we could to just get the interest going, get people interested, get it early tester and maybe give them a discount. Never give it for free. That's never worked well. And then get them to be an ambassador and get them to come on the road with us. And so a lot of the biggest challenges that people have with going to market and getting sales adoption actually is to start a business that's in a way that's unscalable. So you can't obviously be doing that for every customer now, but we face that challenge. We will overcome it in the beginning by just getting really high touch with the first 10, 20 clients and honestly getting everything we could out of them possible. So that's one challenge you constantly face at a company. And I think the second is just scaling. As you scale a company and now you have product market fit and now, the bells are whistling and customers are using your platform. There's only one of you, Heidi. There's only one of your, developer. There's one support person. And so, ironically, I'm here in Argentina. I just left a meeting with our customer success team, which is amazing out here. And it really is like, hey, how do I get 10 people to do things 10 times when we were doing it at one time. And everyone who's listening, whether they have a nail salon, whether they have an e-commerce shop, they all resonate with this kind of common issue.
Mhm.
And I think what we've done to solve it, a lot of it's just documentation. A lot of it is, and I wasn't good at this at my last company, but like when you're thinking about stuff and you're doing it, like document it. Like if you use Notion, write it all down. Loom is a great software I use to record things, but just documenting things. And then now with the advent, obviously in ChatGPT, like there's so much you can do with documentation that people could do. You could actually just feed all your documentation into ChatGPT or what they call a GPT, and then they can just ask it questions. So now with where we're going with AI, I think documentation actually is the biggest thing to solve a lot of the scaling issues.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and not something I've heard much on this, talking to a lot of different leaders and founders prior to you. So I think thank you for sharing that. And that's one thing we're just getting started on, kind of focusing on now in our business too, is documenting everything and making things easier, and making sure that we have everything set up so we don't have to go back and do it later, because that can be very time consuming and complicated. So also, you've created two businesses, you've started two businesses. So can you share with us, are there some differences as far as like getting started with each of them, what you did differently, what you did the same, especially when it comes to funding? So if for example, if somebody's listening going, like you said, people have this great idea, but there's a lot of things that they can make mistakes on moving forward, and also that can hold them back. So money and funding is a big piece of that. So can you share your journey and experience on how you did it with your two companies?
Yeah, so opposites, I think, is the short answer to that. So the first company, in great stories, so I used to, before I started Bloom Nation, I was actually a professional poker player and won one of the World Series of Poker tournaments. And so that was, it was just a big part of my life. And, it was great because I was able to win some tournaments and really get exposure. And so the kind of funny part there is when we started Bloom Nation, my co-founders at the time were like, we need, 50 grand to start the first version of development. And it's widely known in PR if you look it up. But we actually went to a poker tournament in the Commerce Casino in Los Angeles and won it.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know, that might be the first funding story because the first round came from a poker tournament. And again, that's been a big thing for Bloom Nation. But ultimately, we got good, customers coming in, and we went the route of venture. We raised from some of the biggest investors in the world, like Andreessen Horowitz, Facebook, Uber, etc., Spark Capital, and the pros there are just like capital. And at that time, it's hard to build. Like now, you have a lot of tools to build. So capital was needed and gives you a lot of credibility. And so we raised, I think in total, like $20 million. And the good things there, you just move faster. Like
Yeah.
capital doesn't constrain you. The problems there are you don't always make the best decisions because money can always be an answer. And when you bootstrap it like Whippy now, like every decision is vital. So I think you actually scrutinize and make better decisions. And I think the second thing is just like, and I don't know if people know this or not, but when you go through an investor and you get a term sheet, you give up certain rights. You give up some control rights or directional rights. And I think at this company, Whippy, we wanted to have 100% of the directional control ourselves. So that's a little bit on the difference, and happy to elaborate if that's needed.
Yeah. Can you walk us through Whippy? Tell us what more about what
Yeah,
the product is, and what the users, your clients, what they can expect on to what the goal is. Like, what do they get on the other side of using your product, your AI platform?
sure. Yeah. So I mean, really, it's just meant to take the lowest 50% off their plate so they can be more productive. So a pharmacist, for example, or somebody actually in restaurants, let's use that example. Maybe if all they're doing is taking orders or changing reservations or stuff like that. With the world of AI, like they probably should be doing something else, right? Or if someone is at a school or a doctor doing basic intake and someone's taking up their insurance. I mean, there are just so many examples of this, whether it's through email, SMS, or through calls, that we strongly believe in the functional AI, which is the stuff right now that functionally can help a business take that off their plate. So I don't know if AI right now is here to like do a full sales funnel. Like it doesn't seem like that's the place. But if you were at CarMax and you need to get a quote on your car to sell it because you need money, and they were to call you and ask you the 10 questions they need to collect, like that's a good example of where like an AI agent could come in. And so our job is to identify where those are, to see where there's value in that, and
Mhm.
really to have a team at Whippy. So in Whippy, we have multiple teams. We have one on this vertical, one on that vertical, etc. But really, they specialize the product to the vertical to just make sure that like it's doing exactly what will give the most value to someone in that industry that probably, as I said, they don't need to be doing.
What do you, David, how do you see voice AI evolving in particular, but just in also AI in general, evolving in the next 3 to 5 years? And how is Whippy positioning itself for that future?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, www.whippy, which is whippy.ai, you can go to our voice AI page and you can call it yourself, and it will answer a lot of the questions about Whippy for you. So I think a lot of where it is now is in support, if I had to be honest with you, not in, for example, sales. So maybe support and then marketing, but obviously sales then, in support, it's okay, it's AI. Where sales, it's interrupting your day. But I do think what I see already is just how much better these models have gotten in the last couple of months. So as long as your data is clean, as long as you're integrating it to whatever you use, Shopify, Salesforce, etc., and
Mhm.
that actually begs a bigger question, just making sure that your data is clean and making sure it's so valuable documentation, I would say. But yeah, I mean, it's scary to think in a couple of years, Heidi, if this is what's happened in the last year,
Mhm.
like where it can go in the next couple of years.
I know, yeah, it's just everything's evolving and moving so fast. It's like you turn around and there's so much new AI progress happening quickly. I'd like to talk about growth a little bit and visibility and marketing. What's been working for you? I know you do podcasts because you're on this one. So that's one way that you're getting your message out and sharing your platform. But what are some other ways that are working for you as far as getting out there in front of your clients so that they can learn about Whippy and use it?
I think honestly, a lot of it's the stuff that's not going to surprise anyone.
Mhm.
So, for example, like trade shows. We've seen a lot of success in going to trade shows, and it doesn't mean you have to sit there, and we have spent like $30,000 in a booth. It could even mean you just go show up to the hotel and you just sit at the bar and you meet people and talk to them and buy them a drink. But I still think there's a lot of value, just echoing off what I was saying before, of sales, of still that relational aspect. So that's one thing. And I think again, for our industry, which is a lot of its product, like webinars and just case studies are huge. Like especially when you go on enterprise, a
Yeah.
lot of these demos that I get in, people are just send us webinars, send us case studies. So again, I think of that as like, you know, the traditional marketing world. Um, but we've seen a lot of success under those channels.
Yeah, I've heard that trade shows are people want to be in person and they want to go to these events and especially in the tech space. But it's interesting that you said webinars, and I've heard it works for some, but then so people still want to get that information through a webinar. That's
Mm.
working for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be targeted webinars. So I would just say like, I mean, let's give you an example. Let's just use the example of restaurants. Like, would I just do a blanket webinar? And even if it's specific to restaurants, would I just do a webinar with everyone? Hey, see how restaurants are doing better? No, I don't think that'd be helpful. But if it's like, see how delivery restaurants that use Toast are using AI integration, I don't know what that looks like. I'm kind of making it up on the spot. But like anyone who uses, Toast and who has a high level delivery business and isn't answering all their calls, like, if they have that pain, it's going to hit home. So I think the messaging to direct acute pain that you can address, if you target that correctly, you'll see a lot of success.
Yeah. Question for you in regards to your growth, like for over the next 12 months. So what's next for Whippy? What are your goals over for the next year?
Yeah, so we're about to come out with our newest product, which so the main products we've had is like messaging, like texting, email, all that stuff, automation, marketing campaigns. Then we have our AI, our AI agent or our voice AI, as you said, which has been a big hit. And next, we're coming out with our own VoIP platform. So you could, make calls, call transfers, like do all your business calls on there. And we think it's huge because it's powered by AI, right? It learns and it can start to answer questions. The AI recruiter can see, oh my God, there's a hot lead and transfer it to the Whippy VoIP. So we just think you got to be all in one in the communication space, and we're excited for our newest product to get out there.
That's awesome. When can we expect to see that?
It launches this summer, so it should be out there in the next 30 days.
Okay, great. So by the time this interview comes out for you listening, go check it out because it's going to be out. It's here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it's here. It's
that's
here.
exciting. It's here. Um, if I could give you a magic wand, David, and if there's one issue that or challenge that you're facing right now that could be keeping you from achieving your goals over the next 12 months, what would that be that if you could would just wave a magic wand of it and go poof, that you could take away, what would that be and why? Is there one?
Yeah, no, I think ultimately it still goes down to like hiring, I would say.
Mhm.
So for us, if you hire the right people, then obviously software gets built. If you hire right people, they're going to trade shows. And I think, we're doing a good job of it. But I think, as I said, there's scaling problems, as we alluded to in the beginning. And so I think about a magic wand, hiring, and I think, again, we're not a company that micromanages. We honestly don't have that much middle management. So hiring is so important because we have to get this right people that are self-motivated, that want to be CEOs. And honestly, through the interview process, everyone wants to be that, but just some of them might not have that, and some of them have that wheel to grow themselves. And again, I was in a meeting here just an hour ago, and we are talking. One of the biggest takeaways we had there when I was out here with our team in Argentina is like them taking ownership.
Mm,
Them, and I think the reality is not everyone is like that. But if they are, you have to give them just the leeway to shine.
yeah.
And if you're not, you have to do a much better job of hiring the right people. So I think product is a big thing, but I think we've done a great job of it. Sales motion is a big thing, but I think we're really hitting on a lot of the places you do to increase sales. I think it just is hiring and culture, I would say, are some of the biggest things that if I had a wand right now and I could tap it and I knew that was assured, I'd be I'd be sleeping just a little bit better.
Thank you for sharing that. I hear culture is, you're not the first one to share that. Culture is big
Mm.
when it comes to business growth. Last question for you is what if we could bring you back on in 12 months and revisit this conversation, what would success look like for you and Whippy?
Yeah, I think just the most simple answer is trying to double our revenue. I mean, I think we're a bootstrap company, so that's a big win for a bootstrap company. It's probably a big win for any company. But I think, hey, if we're able to deploy the products we want, and I mean, one thing would just be that like that North Star, because if we're doing that,
Mhm.
then we're bringing on the right people, we're growing the right platform. All the other things are just byproducts of that. So I think as long as we continue to grow, and then the other thing is, if we're doubling our revenue, I don't expect all of it to actually be new logos or new revenue. I think the other thing we have to do a really good job is upselling our current customers, because as you said, VoIP's going to be out soon. They're different products, and so I think if those two go well, then we'll be in good shape. But I think that's the one thing that I'd be looking to see next year at this time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it can be expensive to keep replacing customers. We want to be able to somehow find
Yes,
those customers and while we're bringing in new customers because it's cheaper to keep them, right? Over the long
it
run,
is. It
cheaper
is.
to keep
It
them.
is. That is 100% true. Yep.
Yeah. So, David, how can our listeners reach out to you and connect with you?
Um, I think the best way is just to go to whippy.ai. I
Okay.
mean, I would actually even say just, go talk to our AI agent, not to self-promote. And I think that's where if someone wants to get more information, it would be all be there. That or just check us out on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we want you to self-promote. That's what you're here for. So go
That's true.
experience the product yourself. Go to whippy.ai. Go have fun with it. Talk to it. Engage. And David, thank you for your time today. Is there anything that you'd like to share or say that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on?
No, no. I thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. And no, I
I
think
appreciate
that
it.
hit a lot of it.
Yeah, you hit a lot of great points, and I think I'm gonna go back and watch the World, what is it, I we used to watch it all the time, the
Yeah.
Poker World Championships, because I'm sure I've seen you back in the day. I'm
No,
sure I've
no,
seen you
that's
on there. I used to watch it all the time, so I was probably cheering for you. But anyway, thank you again for being here. Thank you for listening. If you're watching David and I on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode with other people so they can go learn more about Whippy AI and go check it out for themselves. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, we'd love for you to give us a 5-star review. That would also help us get this David and Whippy AI and the information out to more people. And as I promised you, we're going to give you a gift for being here. If you're struggling with your visibility and you want to learn about some outside the box methods, go download our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. One last time, go check out Whippy AI. Go to whippy.ai and go have fun. Talk to it, chat with it. Thanks again, David, for being here. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.